Welcome to the garden. Today I've made dandelion tea out of the flowers, the leaves, and the roots of the dandelion plant. So I want to pull out the entire plant by the root. I don't want to damage it too much, so I'm going to use a big shovel and dig down deep and try and pry the whole thing out. I'm going to need to scrub up these roots pretty good. So I'm going to soak them first, scrub them down, and we might even peel them. The leaves we can just give a rinse and then boil them. Steep them for about 5-10 minutes, and then I'm going to put these in the fridge and cool them way down. It's about 90 degrees today, so this is going to be a really nice refreshing beverage. I managed to find 9 flowers. It was actually a little tricky. Just 2 days ago, there would have been flowers everywhere. I noticed a few bugs crawling around, so I am going to rinse these off before we boil them. I'm going to strain this out. So we just boiled enough water to fill this cup. And let's check out this amazing color. Wow, that's beautiful. So I just brought our water up to a boil, let it simmer for about 2 minutes, and then turned off the heat and let it steep for another 2 or 3 minutes. It's a beautiful color. I'm really excited to taste it. But I want to let this get to room temp and then put it in the fridge to cool. So while this is cooling down, I'm going to go pick some leaves. I want to try to collect the largest leaves on dandelions that are growing in the shade. These will hopefully be less bitter and a little bit more tender than leaves grown in full sun. So these big, broad dandelion leaves are perfect. There's really some beautiful color on the stems lower down. It almost looks like beets or rhubarb. Our flower tea is now in the fridge, so now let's try our leaf tea here. It smells a lot like cooked spinach, which is really interesting. I bet it'll have a brilliant green color. It's actually kind of a greenish gold. You know, those greens actually smell pretty good. I might try and eat them. Usually these are so bitter that they're really not palatable, but hopefully cooking them has kind of mellowed them out. It's very soft. It just reminds me of spinach. Wow. You know, I didn't expect these greens to be so good. You know, boiling them might be the secret. It's basically just like spinach. I'd actually be fine using these anywhere I use cooked spinach. So I'm actually going to save those greens and have them as a little side dish for my lunch. But look at this incredible color. It's just this beautiful golden amber. I expected it to be more green, but that's kind of surprising how gold it is. So now, while our dandelion leaf tea cools down, I'm gonna go collect up some roots. I've already found a couple, and they're monstrous. I think the bigger ones are actually better because of the bigger roots. It's like a potato. It's just unbelievable. So I'm gonna soak these, scrub them down, and maybe even peel them like a carrot. I let our roots simmer for a little bit longer than the leaves and the flowers. Because they're so tough, I thought maybe boiling for a little bit longer would help extract more nutrients. Wow, I'm really surprised to see that yellow color. I was expecting a tannish brown. I did keep the skin on some of them, and I split this one in two, just like I would a carrot for making broth. But this looks pretty good. I'm really surprised by that color. I didn't expect it to be such a beautiful light yellow. I'm really excited to taste each one of these and see how they differ in flavor. This is still piping hot to the touch, so I'm going to let this get to about room temperature, and then I'll pop it in the fridge. Then we can mix in some sugar or some honey and ice these down for a really refreshing beverage. So now while these are cooling down, I want to go over a few of the health benefits of dandelion tea. It's a well-known diuretic. Coffee is another great example of a diuretic. The dandelions work directly with your liver to detoxify the body quicker. It's also purported to boost your immune system, aid with digestion, balance blood sugar, and ease heartburn. And there are a slew of other benefits, like using it on your skin. If you're interested in the health side, I definitely recommend doing your own research. There's a lot of information out there, and I'm really no expert. So here's our 3 teas out of the flowers, the leaves, and the roots. Now before I add ice and sugar, I'm going to taste each one by itself. Flower is very subtle. I think that would be really nice with just a little bit of sugar. Wow! The leaves taste surprisingly like tea. There's a little bitter aftertaste, but that's really surprising. Now let's try the root. Wow, that's interesting. That's a much stronger flavor than the flowers. It's the most bitter out of all 3. And because this one is the most work, scrubbing down those roots, I'm probably not going to make this very often. Now I'm going to try adding a little bit of sugar and some ice and make a sort of dandelion aid, like a lemonade. I'm going to do 1 scoop in the flowers, 1 scoop in the leaves, and 2 scoops in the root, because that's incredibly bitter. And I'll add some ice to each one, and we'll have our dandelion aid. I've made dandelion tea from the leaves before, but this is the first time I've ever used the flowers and the roots. So let's give them another taste test now with ice and sugar. Flowers are definitely subtle, so the next time I do this I want to try and pick some more. I only added about a handful to this 1 glass. Added about a handful of leaves, but those seem to be very pungent. They taste like black tea. It's really crazy. It is so weird how much this tastes like iced tea. It's just so bizarre. There is a little bit of a bitter aftertaste, but nothing like the roots. Now these I probably won't do again. It's definitely better with sugar. It is a little bit just too bitter for me. But the flowers and the leaves make a really refreshing beverage. So I think a mixture of some flowers and some leaves would be a great regular drink. And this is something you can brew in large batches and then have in a pitcher in your fridge. I'm just going to add 1 more little scoop of sugar to our flowers and our leaves. But the reason I'm using sugar instead of something like honey is to preserve that flavor. This is just a taste test. Last time I made dandelion tea out of the leaves, I added herbs too, like rosemary, mint, so it was kind of an herbal tea. But this is just pure dandelion leaves, and it's incredible how much it tastes like tea. It even kind of looks like tea. And this is so refreshing and so readily available. I could go out right now and harvest another giant batch of leaves. The roots were a little difficult to process. The flowers are just about done for the season. So I'll continue to make this tea out of the leaves all summer long. Wow, it really is delicious. So I hope you give this a go in your garden, making dandelion tea or dandelion aid out of the flowers, leaves, or even the roots. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time.